Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to learn how to create the 3D family for this chair. I would also like to keep my 2D lines in this family before I create the 3D family and also only change the detail based on the detail view. So when I use coarse, I would only be using my 2D lines. And when I use medium and fine, I like to see the 3D as well. So what you can do is you can select the mask, click on visibility settings here and switch off medium and fine. Make sure only coarse is on. Similarly, this line here as well, select this. Click on visibility settings and switch off medium and fine. Make sure only coarse is on. This way, when I switch to medium, I need to switch on my preview visibility as well. You can notice that the lines go away and now only the 3D model or 3D extrusion would be seen. So in this mode, I would start creating my 3D extrusions. So before I create my 3D extrusions, I would also need to create the height. So let's go to the front view here and let's create a reference plane. So I'm going to create two reference planes this way. Now let's create a dimension from our strong reference to our weak reference. Select this dimension. Now we already have some parameters here, but we cannot use them. We need to create a new height parameter. Let's call this the seat height from flow, or you can just call it seat height and click on OK. Now the seat height in most cases would be about 450. So let's change this to 450. It would be around 430 to 480 mm. So I'm going to change this to 450 mm. By the way, if you're using inches, you can also tap in 450 mm, or let's say if I tap in here 2 feet, it would change to the right mm value. Now we have the headrest here. So let's create a dimension from this reference plane to this. And let's select this dimension and create a parameter called the backrest height. Now the backrest height is typically around 300 to 600 mm. So let's change this to about 400. Perfect. So we have a height in place. Now let's go back to our plan view. So let's first create our seat. We can create a simple box chair. So to create your seat, let's go to create and click on extrusion here. Make sure to select pick lines and select these lines. Make sure to lock them as well. If you like to pick and lock, make sure to switch on lock and then pick the lines. And then you can trim these lines as well. So TR to trim. And then click on finish edit mode. Now we need to go to the front view. Make sure to lock this to this reference plane. And then we need a thickness for our chair. So we can create a reference plane here. And let's add a dimension here as well. And call this the seat thickness. And then you need to select your extrusion and extend it to this reference plane and make sure to lock it as well. Perfect. So we've created our seat. The seat seems to be a bit too thick, so we can change this to about, say, 40 mm. Let's go back to our floor plan view. We can also create a thickness for our backrest here. So let's click on create, click on extrusion, and then select your rectangle tool, or you can select pick lines and then simply pick these lines and lock them in place. Then we would need to trim these lines as well. And then click on finish edit mode. What I would like to do is go back to the front view and extend this all the way up and lock it, and extend this all the way here and lock it in place. So now if you go to your 3D, you can notice we have our seat and our backrest, and this is also parametric in nature. So if I switch to say 800 by 800, it should increase the size as well. We can also, of course, adjust each of the thickness in each of the sizes. Let's go back to 600 by 600 and let's go back to our front view. Let's go back to our floor plan view. Now we need to create our legs. So to create the legs, we need to give an offset from these reference planes to the inside. So let's create some reference planes to the inside. And let's create our dimensions here as well. So this would be the offset. Select all of these dimensions using the control key. and then click on create parameter. Call this the leg offset and then click on OK. So now you can notice that all of the offsets are the same distance, which is 60 mm. Now here we can place our legs. So let's click on create here, click on extrusion. And this time I'm going to select circle. Now I'm going to start from this reference point here and go a bit out. A radius of 40, which means that the diameter is 80. That's a bit too thick. So we can select the circle and change the radius here to say about 20. Perfect. Now you can also make the legs parametric. So you can select the circle and then click on this dimension here. So then you get a temporary dimension. Select the dimension, click on create parameter and call this the leg radius. So you can notice that this is also parametric in nature. So if I, for example, change the leg radius here to say 15 mm, click on apply, it would automatically change the size. Now what I would also like to do is select the circle, and we have something called center mark visible. Make sure to switch that on. So now what happens is we have this mark here. Now with this mark, we can lock it to our reference planes. So use the align tool, AL, and lock it to this reference plane, and then lock it to that reference plane on top as well. So the left and top reference plane. So now if you select the circle, you can notice that it is locked in place. We can also change the dimension in case your text is a bit too big, and then click on finish edit mode. So you just created one leg. We'll need to create the other ones as well. What we can do is we can either copy this and paste it in place, or we can edit the extrusion and we can copy this circle to all 4 points. So select the circle, tap CO on your keyboard, select it from this point, and this time, instead of locking it in place using the manual way, we can also place it at the intersection. So this way, it would get automatically locked to the intersections. Perfect. And now we can click on finish edit mode. Tap escape twice and then click on finish edit mode. Now we need to go to our front view and we need to lock this leg to the top reference plane here. Now in case you're not able to select the reference plane, make sure you do not lock it to the model line. Make sure to lock it to the reference plane. So if you're not able to select reference plane, you can use the align tool, AL, click the reference plane and click on this part of the chair and then lock it in place. Similarly, let's lock it here at the bottom as well. Now, if I go to my 3D view, you can notice we have a very modern looking chair. Let's see if this is parametric in nature. So let me go to 750 by 750. I'm going to change some of the values here. So let's change the leg offset to say 100. And let's change the radius to say 40. And then let's click on apply. So you can notice, boom, it changes. The seat height was 326 for this version and looks pretty cool as well. Let's go to 800 by 800 this time. Let's change the seat height to say 400. Let's change the leg offset to say 100 and then click on apply, and boom, we have a different looking chair. Now, of course, we need to change some of these values as per ergonomic conditions. I've just created some random values. You can go ahead and change it as per your taste. Now, the last step is to change the material for these chairs. So now if you switch to shaded, you can notice that it's all gray. So let's change the material to all wood. You can also add additional materials if you like, but for the sake of time, I'm going to apply the same material for all of these extrusions here. So select one extrusion, and then we have material option here. So click on the invisible box that you can find next to category. And then let's create a new material. Let's rename this, call this wood. And then let's replace this with one of the materials in our asset browser. So let's search for wood here. And I like ash door, so I'm going to simply replace this with ash door. Now, if you'd like to see the shaded view, make sure to go to graphics and click on use render appearance to see the same color as what is shown here. Click on apply and click on OK. Now, instead of clicking on here and changing the material for each extrusion, you can also copy the name and tap Ctrl C, select the other extrusion, and then simply paste the name here. So that's a faster way to apply materials. But make sure it is the right name, otherwise it would not apply. Perfect. So we created our wooden chairs. Now, the last step is, of course, when you go to your reference view, I would like to hide these 3D extrusions in the course view. So I'm going to select all of these elements here and select visibility settings and switch off course and switch off plan as well. I would only like to see this in my 3D and in my elevations and sections. Perfect. So we have a fully functional parametric chair. So now if I switch, let's say, for example, now you do not see, maybe we can just leave it on for plan RCP so that it shows up in medium and fine. So you can notice now when I go to my plan view here, it doesn't show up in medium and fine too. And we have only our 2D lines in course. So it would make sense that we select our 3D elements, click on visibility settings and make sure plan RCP is on, and it shows up only on medium and fine. So now if I go to my reference view, you can notice that we see our chair, we see some detail now as well, our legs and so on. And in plan view, we see only our 2D lines. So we have a very functional and parametric family. So let's save this family. Click on options and click on save. And then we can load this into our project as well. So click on load into project. And then I can place it here. Now you can also tap the space bar in order to rotate it. And now we can notice that when I switch to course, then I see a simple 2D family. When I switch to medium, then I see the 3D element of this family. And when I switch to fine, I again see the 3D element of the family. But in course, you can only see the 2D family. Now, you can notice that when I create such families, it overlaps itself with this dining table here. So it would make sense to integrate these chairs with a table and add it to a furniture system. So in the next video, I'll show you how furniture system templates work in Revit. So I'll see you guys next video. Cheers.